DMs, how many times has this happened to you? You've got the entire session planned out. You're ready to keep the story moving. And then something stands in your way. Bad rolls, or the character's own incompetence, or the player's own incompetence, or maybe just things aren't clicking the way you want. Well, today I've got a little bit of a story for you and how I got around it. And sometimes you just have to take matters into your own hands. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into how to keep a story going when you've hit a snag.
Riser, double.
I take how much damage? So, let's start this off with a story. Last night, I was running a Dungeons & Dragons campaign that I have been running for a few weeks now. It's been very, very fun. And there was this entire storyline about a cult member that the party was looking for. Well, I ended up dropping some clues for them to find this cult member. I talked about how there were similarities between a cult member, the cult member that they were looking for, and a local crime boss that had recently shown up in the city. They both showed up around the same time. They both have connections to the same tavern. And so I laid out these clues thinking that my players would figure it out fairly quickly. But I also thought I would throw them a bone, and whenever one of the players decided to investigate, I would let them roll investigation. They rolled 2 nat 1s on both investigation checks. Toward the time where I wanted them to actually find the cult member and fight him and find his location, I tried to use the investigation checks, but unfortunately they were too low and I really couldn't give anything to the character. So instead, I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna rely on the player. So I gently reminded the players of the information that I have spoken about through the initial investigation roll that happened, you know, that happened before. So they did a successful one, and then they did 2 crit fail investigation checks, which only came out to like 3s or something like that. And so I handed that, you know, I handed them the information, and the player just fogged. They just blanked. They were like, I have no idea what to do with the information. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Let's see what else we could come up with. So I legitimately stopped the session for about 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. And I laid back in my chair and I literally just stared at my back wall. It's blank back there, by the way. I don't have anything behind my monitors, but I literally just stared at my back wall and I was like, how the fuck am I gonna make this work? Because I need them to meet this cult member. He's one of the primary antagonists. They can't just not meet him. So I had a couple of options. Number one, I move him to a different location to be met later in the session or later in the campaign. I ended up not going with that option, and it's mostly because I didn't think about that option until literally just now. So that's like a little hint for you guys. One of the big things you need to understand is that just because somebody's been playing Dungeons & Dragons for a long time or been DMing for a long time, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're always going to think of everything. That's one of the reasons that tip videos are so important, even this far into the game's lifespan, because not only are new players looking for tips, but sometimes you don't have all the answers either. I've been DMing for 7 years, and I literally did not think to just move the fucking character to a different location. But at the same time, it's almost good that I didn't, because now I get to tell you what I did do. I just gave them the answer. That's like one of the big things I've seen in the past is a lot of dungeon masters are like, no, you can't do that. Don't just tell your players, let them figure it out. But like, how often have you heard the story of the DM being exasperated because the players spent 2 hours trying to figure out how to unlock an unlocked door? Just tell them the door's open. This is kind of infuriating to me as a longtime dungeon master, and in general, infuriating to me as somebody who just loves Dungeons & Dragons. Why do you insist on halting sessions or campaigns and letting your players do dumb shit when it's just not necessary? I had a player last night who wanted to interrogate some people to see if they were members of this cult. And he wanted to roll like intimidation and insight and all of this. I just told him, they're fine, dude. They're literally fine. They're not lying to you. You can tell they're not lying to you. They're very open about it. Because what would have been the point in having him roll all of this stuff if I already know that they're not cult members? Now, if they were, then I would have let all of those roles go through. But sometimes it's best to just let shit be moved along rather than letting your players create this overcomplicated path for themselves. Sometimes it's great to have the overcomplication happen. And I'm not saying you should be handing out answers to puzzles and mysteries and investigations and things like that all the time. But what I am saying is that if there is a point where the story is halted to a complete stop because your players just cannot get information that is being handed to them, just give them the information. It is okay. It is okay to allow your players to have the answers sometimes. Obviously, you don't want to spoil everything, and obviously you don't want to hold their hand because then they feel like they're not actually playing a game. But if fucking 30 minutes has passed and they haven't unlocked the unlocked door, just tell them the fucking door's unlocked, right? If you hand them these clues and you're like, all right, guys, this is everything you need to know about how to find who you're looking for, and they're all standing around like baby birds, just tell them you are not their enemy. You are not their opponent. You are their dungeon master. You are the one providing the setting and the events that help them tell the story of their characters so that they can move on with their lives. And if something is truly too difficult, or if something is truly too frustrating, then they should be allowed to have the answers at some point. Again, there's a right way and a wrong way in how to do it, and most of the time, if it's something small or insignificant, or even just in the interests of making sure that the situation doesn't last over multiple sessions, then just give them the answers. It's okay to do it sometimes. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's a little bit shorter than most of the videos that I've released, but hey, they can't all be 10 to 15 minute ramble sessions, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you're having a wonderful time here on the channel. We are almost at the point where I am able to set up channel memberships, and hopefully very soon as well monetize this channel to help me do this as a career. So if you've been liking these videos, then send them off to your friends, share them with your D&D groups, all of that good shit. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next one.